Welcome you all to today's Empower You seminar. We're very grateful for you coming and attending, and I know you're not going to be disappointed. There's going to be a lot of good information about how to deal with the pandemic and all the stress that it's causing. So looking forward to hearing our speaker today. Really quick, I want to give a roadmap of today's afternoon. After this welcome, we're going to have a short video to give you a little bit of information about the River of Life Foundation, who's organized this seminar. I'll give a brief introduction to our speaker, Dr. Lee, and then I'll hand over the floor to her. We'll have Q&A afterwards. I just wanted to note that in order to make the most of our time this afternoon, I'd like to ask if people can post their questions during the seminar in the chat area. I will go ahead and collect them and collate them, and then after the presentation's over, I'll go ahead and read them to our speaker so she can respond to them. And then we'll close. But before we do that, why don't we just say a quick prayer? Please join me in prayer. Father, I thank you so much for this opportunity we have to gather and to learn about different ways we can relieve the stress of the times. Thank you, and I pray that you might bless our time today and that your presence and your spirit will be here. Help us to just to learn a lot of good information about dealing with the times. So thank you, Jesus. All these things I pray in your precious name. Amen. Amen.
COVID-19 happens in March. Our foundation ministry local.
Start just at the beginning.
生命和基金会是在2007年的时候所开始的，改变世界。不能只是靠福音的工作，更是要在社区当中做转化的工作。不但是远方，也是近处，要借着进入社区，能够改变社区，能够改变这个世界。
When COVID-19 happens in March, our foundation ministry locally continues to grow. We serve over 6,000 households in our food pantry ministry now. In addition, they also receive hot meal from us.
Already cooked. I like the cooked one.
We continue to provide groceries to all our seniors and people that have a medical condition. We handled over 5,000 emergency food packages for low-income family that has been affected by COVID-19. In addition, we handed out over 6,000 hot meals to medical personnel and frontline responders.
We are so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm very touched. Thank you.
We distributed over 1.5 million masks to all our area hospitals, clinics, and senior homes, and also to all our public safety frontline responders. Just last month, giving out free laptop computers to low-income families' children. In addition to our local ministry, we have Empower You seminars connecting with our local community.
假日生活广场是透过专业的讲座与社区紧密结合。
讲座内容包罗万象，有医疗保健、财务管理、亲职教育等，从不同的角度探讨生活不同的面向。
你只要是你自己动手做，你说难吗？一点都不难。
Most people aren't technical analysts. Most people don't do this. 这么重的车子，直接相关的就是你的用油量会很重。
讲座的时间是每个月第4个星期天下午，我们提供有中文及英文的讲座。
假日生活广场 Empower You Seminar 随时为您掌握最新生活动态，丰富日常生活知识，给您全方位的回馈。我们有更精彩的节目等待着您哦。诚挚邀请您，期盼在线上与您相会。
这些年我真的看见神真的非常祝福我们基金会的工作。我深深的相信，现在是神所给我们的时机，要把基督的爱能够传扬到这个黑暗的时代，携手同心，让爱永留。
So for more information on the River of Life Foundation, all that they do, here's the URL. You could reach them at www.theriverflows.org if you have any want more information or if you'd like to help. So please visit that. Oh, I'm sorry. One more housekeeping thing. If you can enter your email address into the chat room, our chat window also, we can then use your email to forward you more news about the future seminars and other things that the foundation is doing. Thank you. Now it is my honor to introduce Dr. Wei Chen Lee. She has earned a Master's of Science in Education and Mental Health Counseling, also a PhD in Counseling Psychology at Purdue. She was a postdoctoral fellow at Stanford and also at San Jose State. She's a licensed clinical psychologist for the state of California and also a national certified counselor. She was a former chair of the Multicultural Concerns Commission for the National Academic Advising Association and also a committee member for the National Institute of Mental Health. She is not present. She is a member of the San Jose State University faculty, and she's serving as a director of the Garrett Lee Smith Campus Suicide Prevention Grant Program. She's conducted countless number of mental health seminars and workshops to a wide range of audiences, including community members, mental health providers, and mental health organizations. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Lee as she shares with us how mental health matters. Dr. Lee.
Let me just slow down, take a deep breath, because Dean, I was listening to your voice. It's like, oh my God, I could just listen to this voice for the next 2 hours and just appreciate that calmness, that, kindness, and that like things will be okay voice. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And it's very humbling that sometimes I look at all my titles, but the title I love most is I always advocate for underdog. And so today, I really thank you to be here. Hopefully you are in a room, in a place with sunlight, with a window, because today's weather is good. And part of me would say, go out, because I will ask you to go out to just breathe, to enjoy life. On the other hand, I want you to be here so I get an opportunity to learn from you, to interact with you. So today we're going to talk about several things. And I want you to know, do not, this is my principle, never feel you need to show your video when in my workshop. Yes, Lisa, I saw it. So everybody who just came in, if you could put your email into the chat, Tim and David will collect those emails so forward you to connect you and with more information. So it's optional, but we appreciate that. It's building a community. So, and by the way, back to the workshop thingy. Never feel you have to show your video because sometimes we need to yawn, we need to stretch. It's totally welcomed. And during this 2 hour, actually an hour and 16 minutes, 46 minutes, I'm going to remind you to stand up and stretch, okay? Because here's the first tip of mental health. There is a new research published this year. If you sit for more than 2 hours, it's equal to a cigarette. So I know it's impact your health that deeply. So I want you to turn off your camera. I want you to stretch. I want you to eat, drink something healthy. And if there's something I would like you to look at the computer screen, say, hey, take a screenshot or do something, I will gently remind you. Here's another tip. Our eyes are not designed to look at computer screens. Our eyes are designed to look at people we care about, things we care about, things that make us smile. So yes, there are slides. And yes, I would totally okay to share. And the most important thing is your comfort today, okay? So with that, I want to get to know people just a little bit. And because I also want to respect your privacy. So in the chat, okay, I would like you to type, if you would like to, I would like you to type one thing that you would like to know from today's workshop. So if you would like to, type one thing you would like to know from today's workshop. And I'm going to look at the chat. So if you are thinking, that's totally okay. Take your time to take a couple of deep breaths. But this is opportunity to let me to get your need, get to know your needs, for you to express your need and communicate and connect. Thank you, Grace. How to manage stress of life, resuming back to normal and seeing each other in person. I know that is a whole bunch of things to think about. I have an adult son who has mental health issues, refused to see a doctor. I don't know if I can get help, okay? Maybe stress symptoms. Yes, we are going to talk about that. How to detect, I love that. Okay, so just a couple more minutes. Those who knows me knows that I'm reorganizing my slides in my head right now, thinking about what I need to address more, what I would like to talk more. Okay. Okay, please continue to put into the chat. And also, like Dean said, any questions, put into the chat. So we have several wonderful people here to help us to make this the best learning for everybody. Okay. Okay, Grace asked, when can we see our doctor and dentist appointment? That I would say I cannot answer that question because I do have a doctor, but my doctor is not in that area. And I would not be surprised if in our audience we have people can provide that kind of information. Okay, high school kids, okay. Okay, so, okay. Thank you everybody for typing in. This is very important because here is the part why I want to ask you to type in, because learning happens when we have a question. Learning happens when you guide me to be there for you. So with that, I am going to share the slides and you can totally look away to look at something you like, because it's introduction And just a minute. Okay, my students always laugh at me, say that they have to be my teaching assistant to help me to do technology. Yes, I'm searching for the share screen. Now I found it. Okay, so we're talking about mental health. So mental health is really wide. And this, I'm able to do that because the River of Life Foundation always love the sign, river, river of love, river, so many waters, do so many things everywhere. And this workshop is also enabled by Gary Lee Smith Suicide Prevention Grant. San Jose State University received this grant to help the whole community to improve mental health because mental health matters. Now, we are going to take a look at a roadmap today. I love to use the word roadmap, and because meaning that you still can travel. It's a travel, it's a journey. We still can travel any way we want to, but here are our stops. First one, we're going to look at it, basically mental health issues during the pandemic. Why? Because I want you to know you are doing your best. You will see why. Second part is the part I would encourage you, take a pen and pencil. Take a writing instrument if you have, and write things down and practice, because we will have practice questions. The third part is many questions people type in the chat. When to seek assessment or treatment. The questions, am I okay? Is this person okay? I will provide you practical tools to do that assessment. Finally, with Dean's help, we are going to talk about question and answers. Hopefully, it's also a discussion. If you have opinion, if you have resources, remember, this is a community. Sharing is great. Even you worry about like, oh, what I know, other people know. Wait, very likely being reminded is a good thing because we have way too many things to remember. So with that, I want us to take a deep breath, stretch just a little bit, because we're going to look at some data that may be heavy to you, that may be not news to you, but it helps us to understand what is happening. So we know mental health matters. We know pandemic hurts, okay? And if we slow down, let's think about that. It's more than a year in California since things shut down. What have you been through? I want us to think about that. Okay, now let's look at some data. Sorry, I was wrong. First of all, since that year, in the past year, what changed? First of all, routine changed. Yes, remember I usually tell my students or my clients, like, remember before pandemic, there is a routine, alarm clock, something, you wake up, maybe at your own time, you prepare to go out or you prepare to do something. Somebody, if you live with other people in the house may go out. There is also always that reminder of things moving forward. But when pandemic hits and we are sheltered at home, those routines got impacted. Social cues, okay? For example, do you receive the information, I think just published a couple weeks ago? During the pandemic, average American gained 2 pounds a month. What? Yep, I was like, not surprised, but it makes sense because in the past, mealtime is social cue for us to eat and to move. Now we don't have that cues. We have learned so many things. People like me, I have to learn how to use Zoom, how to interact with people, how to use chat. And reminders change. life rhythm change. Many of us have to sit in our home office, if we're lucky enough to have a home office, or find resources. Our activity level change a lot. So think about pandemic. It's not only about anxiety and safety. It's about our whole life changed. All these change bring in this. If you would like to take a look at the screen, look at the slide, okay? Let's slow down and think about this. Before, during, and now. Since last year, March. How's your anxiety level? Because you will see anxiety level change, worry about different things. Stress level goes up, appetites change. Some people eat more, some people eat less. Some people just find food is not that attractive anymore. Motivation change, ways of coping. Maybe at the beginning of pandemic, we're like, okay, I'm going to running every morning. At the end, now people are like, okay, I'm going to stop watching the video. Our energy level change, our relationship change, our health change, our memory and cognitive functioning change. Let's pause here and think about that. Do I miss anything? What do you think pandemic changed? What do you think pandemic changed us? And if you want to, please share in the chat. Or just looking at the slide may be overwhelming. Sometimes I tell people is that, you know, when you think about it, we don't remember what day it is. We have less patience with our family member or other people. We feel like we have to muster our courage to cope more. Okay. So yes, cooking more. Thank you. Learning to how to gather and do everything virtually. Yes, thank you, Grace. The way we go out, the way we eat. Yeah. See, this is a community contributing. Because I don't cook, people totally laugh with me because I don't cook. So for me, it's like, yeah, cooking more. I have friends bake more, just share cookies, but then worry about cookies may not be taken by people. Thank you for sharing. Okay. I play more app games. Okay, yeah, thank you for being honest. Me too, especially when something traumatic happened to my family, I started to play video games. Okay, so all these bring into some solid data. I want us to look at this data, then I will ask us to think about something. This is published in February this year by Kaiser Family Foundation. The data was actually from National Institute of Health and Bureau of Census Bureau. So if you can look at it, you will notice that before pandemic, January to June 2019, compare with January 2021. So before pandemic, during that time, average 10%, 11% adult report they have anxiety or depression symptoms. And you look at January 2021, 41% of adults report having anxiety and depression disorder. So what are we thinking? What's your reaction to this data? Anybody want to unmute themselves or anybody want to type? When you see this data, what do you think? What makes you feel? Grace, go. Thank you for being participatory. Thank you, Grace.
Okay, so it made me feel like during this pandemic has changed everybody's lives dramatically, and now everybody is trying to wait for that vaccine of when they could resume their normal life. Because right now, since we already know that the frontline workers have already got the vaccine, the students have got the vaccine, the teachers have gotten the vaccine, and now they're waiting for the rest of the community. So I think it's a lot of anxiety of that people are still going to have to wait a little longer for life to resume back to normal because they need to make sure there's enough vaccines for everybody now. So I think this year, I think the waiting has caused people the more stress now, because now we have to wait a little longer, probably until summer, but we don't know yet since everything's still TBD or TBA right now due to the vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Grace, for sharing. Yeah, I have a reaction when I say TBD, TBA, and also we worry about if we have elder family member or people with health has issues, we are trying to get them vaccine, and there's social inequalities. Yeah, but think about that. This is what I want us to do. Look at the data. 41% of people report have depression or anxiety symptoms. At this moment, we have 65 people in this workshop. So if we use that statistic, that meaning when we look at our participant, that meaning 27 of us having symptoms of depression or anxiety. If you have family members, group, if you're a teacher, if you're a leader, you have kids, you have 4 kids, that means 1.5 of them may have depression or anxiety symptoms. So this is how deep our mental health impact by the pandemic. You cannot touch it, you don't see it, but we feel it. People feel it, may think they are not normal, may be suffering. Thank you, Joyce and Shirley. It's called American Pulse Survey. It's done by Census Bureau, tracks certain family member. If you go to the Kaiser Foundation link, it's pretty well done. And most other researchers actually found the data is even higher. Some researchers found that more than 60% of adults in the worldwide population actually approaching to what we call red line for depression and anxiety. And yes, it's shocking. Here is an analogy for all of us thinking about mental health matters, okay? Think about that. If, say, I'm going to use Dean because Dean seems to be a good sport, okay? In this analogy, if, say, I kick Dean, I kick his toe once, he was like, and I say, I'm sorry, doctor, I'm sorry, Dean, I'm not doing that on purpose. Dean like, okay, doctor, it's okay. But every time I see him, I step on his toe. Eventually, his toe is going to be throbbing and red and ruined. But you say it's just one step. When something small, but repeatedly without our control, outside of our control, bothering our life, impact our life, it deeply impacts how we feel about the world. I'm saying this is to acknowledge if you have people around you have depression and anxiety, feel free to share this with them, because the most important thing is tell them, I see your effort. I see how hard this is. You are not alone. 41% or more than 60% of people are approaching the red line. So the data presented here has 2 purposes. One, you are not alone. Second, can we have empathy, love for people surrounding us may not be able to cope as well as us. Okay, so I'm going back to one more slide. Take another deep breath with me, because for a lot of us, this is unbelievable. So basically tell you that different ages cope differently. So the audience here, if you are at a young age, half of you, pretty hard time. 25 to 59, very hard, okay? So I'm going to stay here and be quiet for a few seconds. My suggestion is that even you worry about the sampling, maybe not for Asian American, it's okay. Even you think this is not everybody, it's okay. Because this one study and many other studies is really alarming all the mental health providers that there's a projection, the impact of pandemic will last at least until 2029. Not that we don't have vaccine, the mental health impact. So this is one last donor slide. %26 of young adults age 18 to 25 seriously have thought about suicide in the past 30 days when the study was done in February 2021. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Emily, you got the answer, right? So I will, Erica, if you are here, can you search for the link and drop in the chat for people? So Kaiser Family Foundation, Mental Health in Pandemic. Erica is my TA here today, so she will find the website and drop the link to you so you can have more information. But let's go back to something I want to talk to you. Us. I need to talk about suicide. Because before pandemic, it's about 11% for young adults. It's about 26% now, plus anxiety and depression, plus many other stress level. So we have 63 people here. Or if you think about if you have a large family, that means here, at least 17 of us, maybe we are not belong to that age group, but think about that, your Facebook friends, your congregation, your Girl Scout, your Boy Scout, your social support group, 26%. Why do I want to talk about this? I have two messages for all of us here, and I encourage you to relay this message to everybody because every life matters. The first message is that if any of you in your life or your family member, your kid, your brother, sister, your non-biological family, your relatives have ever thought about suicide, okay, this first message I need you to hear. Having thought about suicide is never mean you're weak or you're sinned. Having thought about suicide means that your pain, psychological pain in your life exceeded the resources you have to cope. Erica just dropped the link to the data in the chat, so please feel free to copy it. So having suicide thoughts, people say, why do you have it? It's because, you know, it's easy to escape, say, a dog trying to bite you. Well, not that easy. Okay, it's easy to escape a horrible person. You just leave, a horrible stranger. Okay, it's easy to escape a pile of dog poo. You leave. But when we have that psychological pain, like shame, like guilt, like I can never meet my parents' expectation, like I'm never going to feel better. When people's psychological pain is that heavy, it is almost natural for people to think about, maybe I should just disappear or die. So this is the first message to you, to your family, to your friends. The only way we can stop and reduce is that we know they are trying their best. We do not shame them, and we open about them. The second message about this 26% suicide, thought about suicide, is that means, sorry, let me take a deep breath. I know in Chinese culture and in many, many other cultures, I am not even supposed to utter the word suicide. But because every year we have students die by suicide, every year we have high school students die by suicide. In Santa Clara County, the youngest person died by suicide was younger than age 10. So I want to talk about mental health matters. It's not only about depression, anxiety, worries. It's also about safety. So let's take a deep breath. Think about what it means to you. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the slide. Share screen. Okay. So now we talk about how pandemic impact our mental health and talk about some serious situations. And we're going to talk about general action to maintain or improve mental health. But before I start talking about action items, I want to double check the chat. And is there any comment about what I just shared, about how serious the mental health crisis is? It's totally okay. Usually, I think people are just thinking or processing. So take your time. If there's an action item here, the action item is please take care of yourself and each other. Especially Kaya, thank you for helping. Mary, thank you for the feedback. Sorry, I think I still pronounced your name wrong. So Kaya, thank you. Okay. Now let's see what we can do. And in Chinese, thank you, Emily, for that comment. Please continue typing because people get to share. I have one perspective and you have different perspectives. And every perspective helps us to build that beautiful view about the world. Okay, so now we're going to switch gear. So if you feel heavy, okay, we're going to switch gear. We're going to do some action right now. We're going to learn how to do it. And again, you may already practice it. Many things you already practice. You already get through, well, get almost through the pandemic. So you have been doing a lot of things right. So I'm going to share screen and let's start doing things. Okay. So every time people say, Dr. Lee, what do I do? I said, well, you probably know what you need to do. Seriously, most people know we should not do this, we should not do that, we should not do this. So I realized that, oh my God, I need to refresh us about what do we need to do to make the change happen. Okay, it's like everybody have New Year resolution, and sometimes we get so tired. So I want to start by talking about conditions for change, because I know you have the heart, or you won't be here. Well, maybe you're forced by David, but I don't think that's the case. Or maybe you want to listen to Dean's storytelling. But anyway, that was my 2 jokes. Please laugh with me. But let's talk about condition for change. Okay, you have the will. So we have to remember, for human being, change can only happen, can more likely to happen when you replace instead of stop. So instead say, I don't want to eat cake anymore. You say, I replace it with something. Okay, you replace. Why is that? Because human nature, we don't like emptiness. We tend to feel it. It's like when we sit in front of a sofa, okay? If you have a knitting machine, you have something, or you can choose. But if you sit in front of your sofa, you only have your control on your hand in your computer. Of course, you're going to pick what's available. So remember, first condition for change is that you have to think about alternatives. What do you want to do instead? Just stopping usually takes a lot of effort. Second condition for change is we need structural support. What does that mean? That meaning that, for example, okay, if you want to say doing exercise between your Zoom meetings, structure change would be having alarms remind you, writing post-it note, like adding that structure to help you to remember, to guide you to do the right thing. And there's an old Chinese saying, it's really hard to translate. Basically, is that if you have some vine, and if you don't give it structure, it will just crawl on the ground. But if you get it a structure, it will become beautiful decoration. Structure is really important. Contextual support. Okay, so do you notice that there was a research that telling people, if you want to lose weight, you better select people or relatives. That was a joking way research talk about, if you want to lose weight or change your life habit, you better select a different bunch of group of friends. Contextual change is necessary, but during the pandemic, it's like I got stuck with my family too. So contextual change could mean support group, could mean online group. Instead of you try to running every day, okay? You log on to your support group, you see people struggling, you get to support each other. You adding another support group to help your positive change. Final, next one, learning mindset, okay? Conditions for change. Asian American culture or many other cultures tend to have this achievement mindset. I would like us to think about learning. The goal is having fun doing it. Practice, practice, practice. Many of you know what SMART goal stands for, okay? And I want to talk about genuine rewards. Here's the part. I'm going to share with you one, not necessarily the best condition for change, using all these things, and versus maybe a better condition for change. For example, some people say, I want to start running. Okay, good. Okay, so a non-ideal condition would be say, I want to start running. I'm going to do everything I do. I'm just going to wake up at 5 o'clock and start running. And after I run 3 times a week, after I achieve this, I will reward myself with a cake. Okay, very likely this person is going to feel not successful, frustrated, and think probably is this person. Let's see what a better condition for change. Okay, this person look at the schedule. Okay, what can I replace? I can replace my YouTube time with running time. Okay, so I don't have to make time, good. And I'm going to download, oh, I heard that there's England actual NSS, National Health Service in England actually has a beautiful podcast called Couch to 5K running. So it gives you the structural support. You play the audio, it teaches you how to run and have several, each week have 3 different programs. So you listen, you don't even have to think, structure support. And you join a support group. And every morning or every day, instead of just scroll through your social media, you look at the support group learning tip, learning mindset. You think about, okay, if I don't like running, it's totally okay. I don't have to like it. I will try it and see what I like most. And you will practice, practice, practice. And your SMART goal is that instead of like, I will lose 20 pounds after 5 weeks, you said, I will try to change my mindset, eat mindfully, having good friends. Okay, genuine reward would be when I achieve my goal, I'm going to sit down, celebrate and share my journey with people I love, I trust, and can really genuinely happy with me. So the 2 different set of conditions will likely to cause you different outcome. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot of the slide, you're more than welcome. Think about that. If you have been blaming yourself for not being able to change or do things you want to do, maybe think about what you can do from this list. Okay. Now we talk about condition for change. So what can we do to improve our mental health? Physical health, haha, all of this you know. So, but I still want to talk a little bit about it. Okay, so movement, it does not have to be vigorous exercise. You just have to move. What does that mean? For example, like now, we've been sitting here for 51 minutes. Could we, if you are able to, could you choose some physical movement? Just do it. You don't have to turn on the video, but just do some physical movement. May I suggest rolling your neck, turning your neck, wave your arms, stretch your jaws, massage your head, okay? Rolling your eyes, not angrily, but just have fun rolling your eyes, okay? Or stretch your wrist, very important during pandemic. Or turn your waist, just do it to see how you feel. And I cannot stress enough, before pandemic, I walked about 20,000 steps a day. It's crazy, I know. But it's how I maintain my psychological health. I have a very stressful job. But if you forgot to mute yourself, remember to click that muting part. So, but during the pandemic, I had to work really, really hard to maintain 10,000 steps a day. So, and there is a statistic about, on the average, people's movement have reduced. So remember, replacing, for example, between emails, you always want to, between meetings, instead of sitting there, I want you to just turn, having fun, turn your chair and move your flowers around, just having fun, or say wave to hi to your people. That's one. Second part, sleep. Okay. Movement is vital for sleep. No rigorous movement exercise 2 hours, 3 hours before sleep. Here are several things about sleep I want us to remember. You probably know. If you already know and I miss any tips, please put in the chat so people can learn from you too. First of all, my students always tell me this is the best life hack I ever taught them. I jokingly say, I taught you many life hacks. Why is this? So here's the sleep hack. No matter how late, how early you go to sleep, every day try to wake up at around the same time. Why is that? Because 1 hour, around 1 hour before we wake up, our bodies start moving hormone around, produce different things for us to get ready to wake up. So if you wake up at around the same time, because circadian rhythm, we are regulated by sunlight. So if your body say, oh, sunlight is here, so let's start producing hormone, let this person to wake up. But if you don't wake up at the same time, your body every day is like, what do we do now? Should we go to deep sleep or should we wait? So I usually wake up around 5 o'clock. I know, the daylight saving time really mess up so many people. I totally agree, it's not good for mental health, but try to go back to a regular sleeping schedule. I usually wake up around 5. So no matter I go to sleep at 1, 2, or 9, I still wake up at 5. And if I don't have enough sleep, I get a little bit nap. No nap, please no nap after 4 p.m. No nap longer than 20 to 30 minutes. These are the tips. Why is that? Because napping is napping. If you go to deep sleep longer than that, we tend to go to deep sleep and we need to go through the whole sleeping cycle. And other things no screen about an hour before you sleep. Why is that? Because blue light, even with blue light filter, blue light go to your eyes, basically tell your hormones, say, nope, get up. So, and a lot of people ask me, Dr. Lee, what do I do if I don't look at computer screen? Okay, do you remember? I remember when I was a kid, 1 hour before sleep, I'm trying to fold my clothes. I'm trying to read books. I'm trying to tell my family a story. I'm trying to hang out with my family. There's something also called candlelight. There's something also called go to, if you are lucky enough to have access to outdoor, go to outdoor, look at the stars. You can listen to books. You can listen to stories. You can listen to David or Deem's, talk. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that word. Their talk. Okay. You can read books. 1 hour before sleep, away from anything screen. Okay. And finally about sleep is that it's totally okay to have natural variation. Do not freak out. And people say, Dr. Lee, can I use alcohol to help me sleep? Okay, please cover your ears because this is going to be loud. No. No, 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 no. Over-the-counter medication and alcohol, yes, it will help you initiate initial sleep. It helps you fall asleep. It may help you relax, but it actually mess up with your sleep cycle. So try different things like regular movement, regular exercise, regular wake up hour, and learn how to relax yourself, learn other ways to fall asleep. And remember, talk to your doctor. Here's the reason. If you have sleep problem, you need to rule out some physical problem or psychological problem. Any questions? Please type. Any information to share, please type to share with each other. Taiwanese has a say called 吃好互相抱. 我不会讲, I don't know how to say that I can understand Taiwanese, but I don't speak well. I always make people laugh. But there's a term called, is something good, you share with each other. So if you have any tip for sleep, please share in the chat. Physical health, sunlight is really important. Sunlight regulates our sleep. The sunlight during the sunset time, you notice is red. go for a walk safely. Go for a walk during the sunset time. It will help you to reset your hormone a little bit. Okay, you know how to eat nutritiously. And finally, manage stress. There are many talk about manage stress, and there's a lot of class. I will talk a little bit about manage stress a little bit later. Okay, but now let's do one activity together. That is something, if you've been to my workshop, you know that this is something I practiced for more than 30 years. It helped me from one of the most angry person to like most mellow person. Okay, so I would like you, it's a breathing exercise I'm going to teach you. I'm going to ask you to practice with me, and I'm going to ask you to practice after today and during today. So very first thing, okay, I want you to put your one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach. Please, no judgmental. Don't say, oh my God, I have a pudgy stomach. No, our focus is on movement. So I want you to test out. First of all, if you breathe in, which side move first? Is your chest or your stomach? Test it out, because deep breathing happens when you move diaphragm first. So it's supposed to be your stomach. Move first. Move out, not in. Let's try again. If you watch babies, that's how they breathe too. Okay, feel it. Okay, first of all, we need to have the right posture. Okay, your stomach move first, chest move second. Now you can put, if you get the feeling or you already know it, totally okay. Let's put your hands down. I'm going to teach you how to do the breathing. Many of you probably practice in different ways. That's totally wonderful. Breathing is a personal process. What I'm going to teach you is something many people find helpful, but if it's not helpful for you, no problem. That's not your issue. That means it's a bad fit. We need to find something else. Okay, when we're ready, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do it. It's really elegant. First key, there's a tiny little stop between your inhale and exhale. Doesn't matter how many seconds, maybe half second, maybe a quarter second, but just conscious stop. Second tip, second key, your inhale and exhale, because everybody's built differently. So I want you to just inhale and exhale to the degree you feel a little bit challenging, but also still comfortable. Your inhale and exhale need to be long and steady. Okay, so those are the keys. Let's do one together with me. You don't have to worry about close your eyes or open your eyes. If I may suggest you, I want you to try both. The first one, open your eyes, look at something you really appreciate, enjoy, even just, wow, sunlight. Okay, when you're ready, I want you to inhale gently and smoothly, like a fresh air going to your body. Tiny little stop. Exhale gently and smoothly, long and steady, like you're making music in the air. When you're done, do a regular breath and see how your body feels. Let's do another one together. This time, try with your eyes closed. If you don't like your eyes closed, look at something closer to you, maybe your fingernail. So, whenever you're ready, shoulders down. What does that mean? That means long distance between your ears and your shoulder. Gently inhale, long and steady, smooth. Feel the fresh air. Tiny little stop. Gently, smoothly exhale, long and steady, like you're making a beautiful note in the air. When you're done, take a regular breath to see how you feel. If you want to do a couple more, I will give you 1 second, not 1 second, 15 seconds to do one on your own. Just remember, this is not a contest. Everybody's different. You appreciate your body by breathing in fresh air, long and steady. You remind your body, hey, I'm breathing, by putting a tiny little stop. And you push your stress out gently, steadily, by your long, gentle, steady exhale. And I'm going to ask you, how does it feel? Anybody? You can put in the chat. How was it for you? And remember, one thing is that if you're at Kaiser, many different health foundations have different breathing exercise. Why is breathing exercise improve your physical health? Here are the reasons. Breathing exercise, every step we did, okay, activate our central nervous system to help us to relax. Breathing have been found to be most effective way to reduce our stress and most doable. So here's my suggestion. All my patients, they have to practice this breathing exercise for at least 20 minutes a day for at least 2 weeks. Then they can tell me, does it work or not? Most of the time they say this should be taught in every college class. But here's my suggestion for you. You make it a breathing game. What does that mean? Meaning that if you're at a meeting and you have a horrible boss and you don't want to be disrespected, but you also want to cope with your stress. So when the boss say some word, you take a deep breath. At home, you pass a door, you take a deep breath. Wherever you want to open something, your computer, your video game, you take a deep breath. So by doing that, remember, condition for change. You get structure, you get replacement, you get alternative to help you to change. If you want to practice before sleep, I totally encourage you, please, if you fall asleep, don't try to wake up, say, Dr. Lee, say, I need 20 minutes. If you fall asleep, fall asleep. Okay, going to stop here for you to think about what you want to do today to improve your physical health. I'm going to give all of us 30 seconds here, quiet time. You can do some stretch, but also I really want you to commit to yourself. What is one thing I can do tonight to improve my physical health? It's a commitment to yourself. I need it to be simple, doable, and even you can just do it right now to improve your health. Okay. Now, let's go back to slides. Okay. So, let me find the sharing button. We talk about improving physical health. Okay, this one, I would love to have your attention for next 10 minutes because you're going to like, oh, right, no, not really. So this part, I really need you to actively imagine you have a conversation with me. So physical health is something we can do. Drink a little bit more water, go to sleep regularly, or wake up regularly, movement, yoga, breathing, qigong, okay, meditation, all those are very helpful. But human beings are social animals. Well, social beings. And yes, even introverts like me, we need to interact with people, because interacting with people help us feel connected, validated, valued. So social health, you probably know already. So what's on this slide is some ideas for us to think about it. To improve social health, we need to, for the first one, together versus connected. To improve our social health, we need to increase our connected moment instead of together moment. What? Yeah. One of the things I did, I live near you probably know in San Jose, there's a place called Santana Row. I live close there, and you can totally laugh at me. Psychologists, we love people watching. So one thing that hurts me a lot is that when I walk in Santana Row, I could see people sitting on the table. They are together, but they were not connected. They were not talking to each other. They were watching videos. They let their kids just watching the channel and the parents watching their phone. So think about that. Okay, this is a moment let us all slow down. Think about the last time you felt connected. How was it? What made you feel connected? Sometimes when we are together, but we're not connected, actually make us feel sad and lonely. I will give us 10 more seconds to think about how can I create more connections, more connected moments in my life. Okay. The second part of social health is we need to aim for more giving instead of scrolling. I know. I would never say people should totally not using social media. Yeah, it's a really nice place. I mean, my college friends found me through social media. So, however, there is research linked to use of social media in depression and suicide, especially for young kids. So when we interact with people socially, especially digitally, I would like us to focus on giving instead of just like, even without reading. You say something. It could be like, I totally see your point. You could say that, good job, do it. You could say that, I'm sorry you feel you have to go through this. Giving is different from scrolling and liking. Because we all know like is really easy, but giving takes effort. But by giving, make us feel connected. Social health also wants us to think about rejection versus boundary. This is really important in our relationship with our loved ones. A lot of people, a lot of kind people, maybe I think David can relate. Kind people have a hard time to say no to people because they don't want people to feel rejected. During the pandemic or for the rest of our life, we need to think about when we say no, we are not rejecting the person. When we say no, we are actually just tell people the preferences. We can gently, very nicely say no. And also, we also need to remember when people say no to us, it's not rejecting. It's not because, in the past, when I was growing up, there was a belief that if I'm worthy, whatever I ask, you will say yes. You're like, oh, that's crazy. That's unreasonable. It is unreasonable. So social health includes you need to say no. At this moment, you don't know if you're going to say no the next time or tomorrow, you may say yes. But it is really important to know that you can say no. You're not rejecting this person. You're communicating, today, this is something I don't want to do. Today, this is my boundaries. And I want you to know, because you are important to me, so I am able to be genuine and honest with you. Boundary setting is vital for social health. And a lot of people find it difficult because they equate boundaries with rejection. No, just boundaries. It's like if I want to meet with Erica, she's here. If I say, Erica, can I meet with you on Sunday? I really would like her to say, no, Sunday is my private time. Because that helped me to know how to be there for her. Social health also if you are introvert here, I need to talk to you. If you are extrovert here, I still need to talk to you. Remember, if you are introvert or your family member are introvert, please do not use the word shy to describe them. They still need human being, but people who are introvert need more connection. It takes a lot of effort for people to connect through Zoom in pandemic. So please pace yourself. Listening versus talking, you probably know that. Social health actually comes from listening. Okay, there's a lot of workshop on skills. I'm going to say K-A-I-A, Kaya. Thank you so much. You're like beautifully sharing. Thank you. Hearing no is better than silence, especially for second generation. Okay, so social health, I put this in a semi-joking way, say phone, question mark. Okay, remember there was a time when there was no cell phone. Remember there was time we talked to people over the phone and we are feel so connected. So my suggestion is Zoom takes a lot of energy. There's something called phone. Call the other person, put on your headset, walk and talk with this person on the phone. You have several benefits. You exercise, you connected, your eyes get rested. And usually the bandwidth communicates through Zoom is very narrow. Phone, you have better sense of how people feel and force you to listen. And if you have facial expression, it's less likely to be misunderstood. Okay. Finally, social health is improving communication skills. For here, if you have teenagers, this is what I would like you to do during the pandemic and after pandemic. First thing, remember replace. In addition to asking your kid, how are you doing in school? How's your grade? How's your study? There is a list of 30 to 60 questions you can ask your kids. Ask them, practice asking them a new question every day. If they don't talk, don't worry. If you have the resources, go ride the bus with them, go to a car ride with them. They may not talk, but if you silence for more than 1 minute, usually most of teenagers will start talking. So, talking with teenagers also, there's another trick. They anticipate that you only care about their grade. I know you care more about than that, but this is second generation. This is what they told me most. My parents only asked me about my grade. Okay, ask them other things. When they say something, this is a skill I learned when I was working with juvenile assistant. If they say something, even you disagree, they anticipate us to say, why would you be so stupid? No, we stop doing that. We just say, okay, so what do you think? Other people may think what you just said. Or you can say, I can see your point. And just that, silence drives teenagers nuts. Okay, so there are a lot of beautiful books in communication skills, help you to be able to not feel frustrated and sad, help you to feel you're heard. But that's a gigantic class. So it's easy, and I totally encourage you to self-learn. Okay, so we talk about physical, social health. Those are related to mental health. Cognitive health, okay? One of the jokes during the pandemic, and probably will continue, because there's a lot of new learning, and there's a lot of overlapping memories. Was I here? Was I there? Is that 1 year ago? Is that yesterday? So one of the things I would like you to continue doing, yes, please connect to to David and Dean. I will send a copy of the slide to them. Okay, and I believe Dean will talk about this is recorded, so we probably have access to the recording. Okay, Dean and David will share with that information. Thank you for asking. So remember, cognitive health, the old saying about you become stupid or your memory decline is old research. Actually, we found that with age, your wisdom increase. Huh? Yes, your metacognition, your knowledge, how you manage things, how you learn to manage things you need to remember actually increase over the age. So here are the 3 things I need you to do. You know that. Learn, learn, and learn. And I was joking about last year, I started learning French, actually 2 years ago. And before the pandemic, when I took my mom to a place, and I was so happy because I learned the word. I look at the menu like, oh my God, Mom, this means fish of the day. And can you imagine people are laughing around me because there's English, fish of the day. And I was just like so happy. And I'm trying to learn Spanish. And I'm also trying to get my MBA classes. So structured learning is really important. Learn, 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 and learn. Challenge ourselves. Go out comfort zone even you don't like. Even try a new dish. And physical health and nutrition. So we're heading to the most important core of all 3 cognitive, social, and physical health, our foundation. We have to have that. Okay. So psychological health. If you don't think you have time to read the slides, a lot of time we have good intention. You want the slide, but we never had time to get back. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Take a screenshot, use your phone, take a photo of this slide. Okay. Open your email account, attach the slide, and most email now have delay sending. On your subject line, you will say, 5 minutes, review what I learned. And you send this email to yourself in 1 week. Why am I asking you to do that? Because we all have emails we intended to read, but we never read, and we feel guilty. We feel we should. So why not change our structure, make it happen, give yourself a SMART goal, 5 minutes, review the slide. Okay, you probably will remember things after this when you read this slide, but let's go. Okay, we talk about maintain physical, social, and cognitive health. Replace the effective thought. We are going to talk about that. Understand and work with emotions. Practice genuine gratitude. Increase spiritual health. And actively recharge self. And actually cope with stress. So all these things, if you want to Google or search YouTube, they all have different things. I encourage you to learn from different people. But here we're going to talk about several things. Replace, in fact, distorted thought. Because this is something most of the people who work with me, and if you are familiar with psychology, the most evidence-supported therapy is called cognitive behavioral therapy. And this is the basic step. It's something we can do. right now. Okay. What is replacing effective thinking? Because things are neutral. Our thought dictate our reaction. For example, the same event, like I lost my key. Okay, event is I lost my key. My thought, one way of thinking is that, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Why am I doing this? Reaction would be regret, anger, frustration, and maybe got into a fight with people I love because why did you help me? Why do you make me so stressed? Take a deep breath, what we just practiced. Effective thinking would be the same thing, I lost key. My thought is like, okay, how can I solve this problem? It's going to be stressful, but I'm not going to let stress impact my life because losing kids is frustrating enough. So I'm going to make this work for me. My reaction would be tell people, call the police, blah, 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 and replace the key, replace the door. In the long run, the first reaction make me become a horrible mood. Or people just like, oh my God, Dr. Lee, you're so stressed all the time. The second part will likely to make me feel, hey, I can handle so many things. So over the years, psychologists have identified several distorted thoughts. Thank you, Mary. The recording and past seminar could be found in the link. Okay. So there are many distorted thoughts. These thoughts are learned. It's not because something's wrong with you. I still remember in Mandarin, there was saying that if you understand Mandarin, it's called 一哭二闹三上吊, meaning that if you're in a fight, the very first thing you do is cry. The second thing is fight. The third thing is try to hang yourself. And I saw so many people do it, not because they don't want to do better. It's because that's what they learned. So if you look at the slide, take a mental picture of here. Our thoughts impact how we react. And we do need to help us to feel better about ourselves by actively choosing things that help us to cope. So what are the horrible thoughts? In psychology, we call distorted thinking. I would like to call them actually ineffective thinking. I'm going to go through this quick. Okay, but I will leave the slide when we do an activity. Distorted thinking include would, should, could. Everybody who worked with me, no matter how old they are, no matter they are CEO, TV producer, the very first thing I asked them, please, please, please take out the would, should, could in your vocabulary. They usually like, why? I was like, would, should, could never helps. Huh? Yeah, think about that. Okay, think about that. I should. If you say to yourself, I should work out versus I can work out. Should, would, could add to our stress, does not focus on solution that's doable, and has expectations that we do not really evaluate and assess. So replace would, could, should with I prefer, I can. For example, I should not yell at my kids. That, yeah, everybody knows that. But what's the solution? You can say, I can take a deep breath. Okay. You could say and get really angry, say, my kids should respect me. Or you could say, I prefer my kid respect me. What can I do? Second, distorted thinking, so common, and just, this is one of the things that just hurts me when I see people do that. Comparison. The only sentence I will say here is, no comparison is ever fair. No, 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 no. And those who read the book Outlier, you know that people use Bill Gates like, oh my God, he's so genius. He complete his blah, blah, blah. Here's the part you should know. when you compare with your kids with Bill Gates, you should know that his family was really well off, and he was able to access supercomputer as a high school student because his family has friends who are professors in computer science, and led Bill Gates to access to supercomputer when he was a high school student. No comparison is ever fair, and comparison does not motivate people. So stop comparing yourself with anybody else and focus on what I can do. Overgeneralization, okay. One thing happened does not mean it's everything. The goal is change the future. Mental filter, people say good things about you, you don't remember, but people say bad things about you, remember. That's not going to help you to have an accurate view about yourself. Binary thinking or nothing thinking. I will just give you an example. Okay. Binary thinking meaning that either or, and that's really unhelpful. That's why when we say you always, you never, that's either or. That's really hurtful. I joke about that. I have two choices. When I think about my partner, I can say he's always horrible, or I can say 60% of time he's really nice, 40% of the time he has no clue. When we think about that, the world is more complicated. Help us to really see. For example, people always say that my teenager is so disrespectful. Huh? Think about percentage. Think about the time your teenager will actually show some respect. You can say 70% of the time my teenager is really respectful. 30% of the time they're really defiant. Okay, it's not good, but we can work on 80%. Personalization, don't take things personally. My reading, instead of my reading, we ask questions. Emotional reasoning, meaning if we feel this way, it must be true. Let's think about what's the fact in listening. Catastrophe or minimization. These are distorted thoughts. If you Google it, you can find tons of worksheets. It's also actually one of the bestseller Feeling Good Handbook is based on. So here, let's do an exercise together. Okay, I'm going to go back to last slide. Review, event is neutral. Thought is learned, habitual, and cultural. And we can change that. That will change our reaction to things. I want us to first identify something that makes us feeling negative last time. Maybe yesterday, maybe this morning, maybe today. I want you to identify the event. For example, I could say today, something made me frustrated, could have made me frustrated, was my kid did not put detergent in the dishwasher. Okay, event, my kid did not put detergent in the dishwasher. And I see the reaction. If my reaction were angry, yelling at the kid, that meaning that I have used some of this distorted thought. So your goal here is think about something that brought you negative experiences or emotion. Think about what happened. Identify the distorted thought you used. And then take some time to replace it with something else. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Event, thought, reaction. Identify that and see your power of changing it. when you think about this, it's like, wait, but I don't want to. It's okay. It's okay. When we start trying to change our thoughts, to change our feelings, to help us reduce our stress, we're going to encounter a lot of structure, contextual thing. For example, I could change my thought, but people still yell at me. Okay, then we have to change more about our thought to help us to feel more confident, to not let what happened impact us. A lot of time, we don't have control of what other people do, like Asian hate crime, okay? We don't have control over it. But we can change our mindset and decide what to do with it, instead of just feeling stressed, anxious, angry. So I will give you one final example of how to use this. I'm going to go back to the slide. Event, thought, reaction, respond. Okay, this is what you are going to think about, practice maybe today, tomorrow, every day when there's important thing. Okay, an event would be, okay, like, for example, okay, the event would be my kids forgot my birthday. Event, okay, in Chinese culture, kids forgot my birthday. Oh my God, gigantic. But let's just say kids forgot my birthday. My thought, I have two choices. Choice one is like, how ungrateful they are. Why can't they not remember my birthday? They do this again and again. I dropped so many, no matter how many hints, they just don't remember. They're such bad kids. And I have no value to them. My reaction would be angry, passive aggressive, hurt. Okay? Or I have the choice. Well, kids forgot my birthday. People forgot. I don't like it. I prefer they remember it, but I still can celebrate it, and I can invite them. I know they are good kids. 90% of the time, they are good kids. And I'm not going to read into their mind. So I'm just going to invite them and celebrate the birthday my way. And I don't have to worry about I don't like the gift they give me. You see, the two things lead me to two different lives. Okay. Questions about thoughts? Type in the chat. Okay. So we're going to talk very quickly because I want to be able to answer questions about emotions. Okay. Our current mainstream culture in the United States or around many worlds, emotions are bad. But I really want us to think about emotions are signals. If you look at the slide, there is a bunch of signals. So when you see the brake light on, you see the check engine light on, you see the seatbelt light on, you are not going to say, oh my God, let me just ignore the signs. You're like, okay, I need to do something. So emotions, here are the simple steps when you have emotion. Recognize there's emotion, explore what the emotion is telling you to do. And here's a key point. Mature people, like us, when we identify our emotions, when we decide the meaning, explore the meaning, we decide how we will respond to the signals. Because many times our emotions are our reaction to past history. For example, if, say, this morning, I'm mad at my partner and I need to sit down and say, I'm angry. Okay, I'm not going to suppress my anger, but I'm not going to just yell at him and say, I'm angry. I'm going to sit down and say, why am I angry? Okay, I'm angry because I'm mind reading that he forgot to do this for me. So how can I do about this thing? Okay, to help me to process my anger, I will tell him I want him to do this instead of just yelling or just suppress myself. So what I decide to act is go to him and say, hey, do you remember I asked you to do this? He said, no. Okay, I said, can you do this for me? Okay, problem solved, my anger reduced. There may be still a little bit disappointment, but I can still go through this process. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, increase your psychological health. So the last thing I want to talk about, increase psychological health, is practicing genuine gratitude. Okay, so let's take our eyes away from the computer screen, because just imagine me talking to you in person. Okay, I know you're grateful for so many things already. And when we also grateful, so here's the part. How can we get more out of being grateful? Because psychological research say that if we are grateful, it improves our psychological health. It's like, ooh, so this is what we are going to do. Instead of just saying, I'm grateful, I am healthy. Okay, good, good, good. Let's feel it. Okay, I'm great. This is what you're going to think about. You're grateful for this thing because how this thing impact your current, past, and future life. I feel grateful for having health because it enabled me to wake up, to do what I need to do, to move around, enable me to help more people. So I really appreciate, I'm blessed with this health. And I know a lot of people don't have it. Sit down, think about one thing you're grateful. Instead of just stop there, think about how this thing you have that you're grateful about impact your life and people you care's life. Let's do one together. Identify one thing that you're grateful. And take time to think about how this thing you're grateful has impacted your life, has impacted other people's life. I'm going to continue to remember this thing that impact you and people around you. What does it enable you to do? What's the memory associated with it? What can it bring to you when you are more grateful and acknowledge that's in your life? I'll be quiet for the next 10 seconds, and I'm going to okay. So the next 3 minutes, very quickly, I would like your eyes back on the screen, whatever screen you have. Okay. I will say this. It is extremely hard. There's a reason why psychologists, we never diagnose people without meeting them, without thorough exam. Several things, because psychological diagnosis is very complex. Second thing, there are many health problems actually has mental health symptoms. For example, if you have thyroid problem, you may have depression or anxiety symptoms. So just thinking, oh my God, I have depression or anxiety, I want to increase your knowledge, impression by sharing with your story. Many years ago, I met a very young kid, 18, in the state of Washington. He was like, Dr. Lee, I see so many doctors, my depression never get better. I try so much work. The very first question I asked him is that, when was your last physical exam? Oh, I'm healthy, I don't need that. Okay. Do you have family thyroid problem? Yeah. Why do you ask that, Dr. Lee? I say, go have a thorough physical exam. It turns out he has subclinical thyroid problem that impact his mood. So remember that. But here are things, some common signal of mental health problems. Excessive worrying, fear, sad or low feelings, confused thinking, significant mood change, strong or prolonged feeling of irritability or anger, avoid friends and social activities, You still miss them, but you just like, ugh. Changing sleep habit or feeling tired and low energy, changing eating habit, changing sex drive, difficult perceiving reality, use substance, multiple physical alignment without obvious cause, thinking about suicide, not able to carry out daily activity, intense fear of weight gain and concern with appearance. Okay, basically, this is what you may hear people say. I can't stop thinking about things. I do not feel like myself anymore. I'm just so tired. What is happening to me? I do not have energy. I can't shake the feeling off. When we have the self-talk or when we hear other people talk, we need to perk up our ears and check in. Not saying I think you are sick, but really listen to that. And here is a tool you can use. Okay, so this is not, this is not save it all, but this is a beginning conversation. You can also check in with your primary doctor. Most primary doctor in like Stanford Healthcare System, Kaiser Healthcare System, they have training on mental health screening. So I'm going to stop share because I want you to see you can do this together with your family, without your family. So going to share screen and you will see me how to do this. Share screen, how do I do this? Okay, take a deep breath, share screen, Chrome tab, there you go. Okay, so you can see my computer screen and I'm going to Google Mental Health America screening, self-screening test. Okay, and if you click it, you can do self-screening. You do not have to provide any demographic or personal information. I can show you. For example, if I take a depression test, here are the questions to answer. Okay. If I just randomly answer, of course, you are not going to randomly answer. And next, the screen will say about you. You can totally skip it. No information you need to provide. View result. And it will tell you your depression test score is severe depression. Your answers, you can email your result, take tests, and there are information for help. So you can take this if you worry about somebody as that person, bring the result to your primary doctor. That will help them to see how serious this is, and talk to your doctor, talk to a therapist about this. Now, stop share. It's question and answer part. Thank you for sitting through this. Now is a good time to stretch. And I'm going to ask Dean to show up and to help me with the question and answer.
Yes. Most of the questions were at the beginning, so I believe you answered most of them. There are a couple maybe you want to add more to. Let's see. What is the technique to manage multiple stresses at the same time?
You probably know this, but I really have a fast answer. Write it down. Human beings cannot handle multiple stress. You can't. You really cannot. It's impossible. You will feel overwhelmed, no place to start. Write it down. I'm looking at my planner, just a minute. So many years ago, I had a joke. People had a joke that you only have to pay me one person's salary and I can do 5 persons' work. I have a lot of stress in my life. So I'm going to show you. This is a typical planner of my day. Color-coded, write everything down with Post-it. So what do? Write everything you're stressed in a Post-it or on a piece of paper. And really ask your question and ask yourself a question. how do I want to deal with it? The answer could be, I don't want to think about it. Or you can say, I will think about tomorrow. You set a schedule to worry about things. Write down stressors. Decide if you have control over it. Do whatever you have control. That include delay, delegate, forget, praying, and or find somebody to help. So that's the way you deal with multiple stress. I hope that answered your question.
Let's see. There's one question: how did you deal with events being postponed, not knowing when in-person gatherings will resume?
Make sure, if somebody you care about, make sure you use physical forms. There's something we call snail letter. Physical letter, coloring, make a card. Remember to write down and send it out. It will arrive a few days later, but the other person has something to hold on to. Everything digital makes us feel lost. So having something to hold on to. I'm looking because I usually have things that my student gave me that make me feel really empowered. So we don't know what will happen. Waiting is horrible, but back to the stress managing. Remember, if there's something you can do, even you think it's stupid, do it. I mean, even drop, I remember there was a time my student dropped a pineapple next to my office. It's like, I just look at pineapple and start crying. Because, yeah, Costco pineapple is $2.99 or $1.99. But that part, I can eat pineapple and think about pineapple. That makes me happy. So we don't know. And the key of mental health is that accept the reality. Not saying I agree. We don't have to agree. We still can don't like it. But focus on like really look at what do I have in my hand that I can treasure, I can do something to change. Fan, thank you. I saw it. Thank you. I will practice it. Yay.
Another question: how do you manage stress over the holidays?
Okay, Grace, I'm going to look at your facial expression. Are you talking about holiday, like big holidays, holiday loneliness? Can you type in a little bit more?
So Dr. Lee, because I used to work at a retail store Whole Foods before the pandemic came, and after the pandemic, I started working from home. And when I started working from home, I was always stressed out over the Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and the 4th of July, because that's when my store is most busy. That's the reason why, like now that I'm not going back to the store, I always feel stressed around those holidays. My parents always tell me not to stress out because we can always work something else. Like everything's already pre-planned for you. You just have to wait a little longer. So that's why I always feel stressed around the holidays. That's why.
Okay, so it's like. Sorry, I interrupted you. Can you finish the last sentence you were saying?
Okay, yes. So I was saying that because I've worked in retail for about 3 years, I always feel stressed around the holidays. My parents have been telling me that you don't have to do any hard work. You're not even going to go back to your old job anymore as the pandemic is over because you're already adjusted to working from home. You're going to like working with us more than working at your previous job. That's the reason why I feel stressed sometimes because I worked in retail for like about 3 years before the pandemic came. Now I'm working from home. And I always feel stressed over the holidays. I have that stress for about 3 years already. It's getting better, but it's not completely down yet, the stress.
I see. The very first thing is that if you work in retail and you have holiday stress, you are normal. People are, during the holidays, the retail stress is ginormous. I mean, people are not nice, people are hurry. And so I want to first validate your stress level. Second is 3 years. Oh my God, I cannot imagine your shoulder. You probably need a massage coupon after those stress time.
I'm not doing retail anymore, Dr. Lee.
Got it. So that's 3 years. Now still feel stress. So I would say several things. Sounds like they are anticipatory stress. Okay. For anticipatory stress, it's you will feel like I'm a broken record. Actually, for any worry and stress, the very first thing I want people to do is write down.
Okay.
And debate
I
it.
haven't done yet.
And use the slide of distorted thought to challenge it. And finally, if I may suggest you to look at this, everybody should actually, if I'm the president, I would ask this to be in the curriculum for everybody. It's called WHOOP. If you Google it, it's Navy SEAL actually use this to deal with their stress. So it has a worksheet. And I think there's a workshop on me talking about WHOOP actually in YouTube, somebody put there, but it has worksheet. I suggest you, Grace, Google WHOOP, WHOOP My Life, and Erica probably can just find a website and drop it there for me if Erica still have time, because I want her to go at 5. And it has a worksheet. Work with your stress through the WHOOP process. Most people come back. The last time I teach WHOOP was to a high-level person in a high-tech company. She was like, oh my God, this really works. So WHOOP it, Grace, go WHOOP it. Okay, you will find this fun with your personality. You like doing things.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
A couple more. Someone
Yes.
asked about helping high school kids manage the anxiety and depression in the pandemic.
First, validating. Never say you should not feel this way. First, validating. You can say you're not alone. I just listened to this talk and the data is really, really blah. Second, point out their strength. You're doing this. However, I still see you trying to help with this. You're still talking to us. Point out strength. Sincerely, not like you still get straight A. No. Effort. Point out effort. You're still helping out. You're still trying to communicate with. You still wake up every day. That's not easy. Validating, recognize effort, and then do the research with them. Okay, meaning that, hey, what's challenging you? You can ask, hey, I see, remember as parents, this is another gigantic training. There's a training called Mental Health First Aid. So if you want to take it, Celsius, they actually have it and offer to everybody. But here's the key. When you worry about somebody, the very first thing is recognize, validating, and point out what you see. Like, I see that you have been doing this, this, and that, and you can, this is what you can do. And you say, what do you think we can do together to help you to get through this? If the person don't want to see a doctor or psychologist, hey, that's normal. Nobody wants to see me. I'm yelling, yes, nobody wants to see me. So if people don't want to see a therapist or a doctor, totally don't push them. And one thing you can do is to ask them if they're, usually because depression and anxiety have physical symptoms like sleep, like painful body, like tiredness. You can say, can we just go to the doctor to get your sleep check? Because I really want to know how I can help you to sleep better. So start with physical symptoms. It's totally okay. As long as we get them into any kind of service, okay, they can get to the next step. So that's that. Let's see, did I forget anything? Also, if you're really urgent, okay, and you can and you don't have a doctor or therapist to consult, you can always see a therapist to help your kid. A good therapist will help you to gain and practice skills to be there for your kid, and you are being a role model. But if you don't have the resources, thank you, Erica, just to whoopmylife.org. It has videos and worksheet. But back to help. So many of us don't have the resources. So what I want you to do is you can always call National Crisis Hotline. Say, I worry about my kid. What do I do? They will listen to you. They will give you resources. You can also call NAMI hotline. They will help you and they will give you resources. Don't do this on your own because few of us are equipped to help our kids. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, there was a similar question about someone's adult son, but I think a lot of the answers you just gave could apply to him too.
I will trust you on that too then.
Yeah, I think so. Because like you're saying, there's a lot of resources out there that you can go to. And also the other thing I remember you saying is start with something smaller, like maybe physical things, and then go on from there. One last question. Let's see. It says my college son feels lonely even before the pandemic because people like to study alone these days. He likes to have a study partner occasionally. How do I encourage him when he is not able to find one when he's at school?
So the person is a college student and feel lonely. And now because pandemic, some people like to study alone and this person has issues trying to find study partner.
Yeah, yes. Even before the pandemic, it was hard for him because he's lonely, yeah.
So first of all, congratulations. Your kid is sensitive and willing to communicate with you. So you did a lot of great job. Okay, so pat on your shoulder when kids are willing to open to us. Good job. Secondly, what can you do is that listening, because instead of providing any suggestion what you should do, okay, validating, because when people feel lonely, there's nothing wrong with them. You want to emphasize that there's nothing wrong with you. You feel lonely because you want connection. And what does connection look like to you? A lot of people feel lonely, not because of a lack of social skill, because they're really looking for meaningful communication, connections. So one of the things, you will sit down and brainstorm with your kid without providing any suggestion, especially for college kid. You can ask them, tell me, let's brainstorm. First, tell me what you have tried. And you say, oh, good job. You tried so many things. Genuine appreciation. They say, what are other things you thought about but have not tried? What are some challenges? And say, be the cheerleader. I can see that. How can I help you to try these? So go with that instead of providing suggestions.
Okay, I think that's all the questions. I believe that the other questions you did address during your talk. So I'd like to thank Dr. Lee for joining us today. It was amazing. And I could tell there's just so much more you wanted to talk about. Several people asked about your email address. So I have it posted here on this last slide in the bottom. So if you have any more questions, it sounds like you could feel free to email your questions to Dr. Lee and she'd be very happy to help you.
I'm just very slow to reply emails, so please be patient with me. I got about 600 emails a day. So I read them all and I have my assistant helping me, but please be patient with me because you're important.
Cool. Another question many people had was, is this seminar recorded and where can I get it? And here there's a URL, theriveroflifeflows.org, continuing education. You could find today's seminar as well as past seminars. I also have jotted down all the emails, so we'll try to get the slides out to you folks in a few days. So thank you so much, Dr. Lee, for just a very informative seminar, and look forward to having you come back. That would be great. So thank you all for joining us. This concludes today's seminar. And let me just close us with prayer. Father, I thank you for today and for the many, many positive actions we can take in dealing with all the stresses of life. But thank you too that you also provide a spiritual way to deal with it too. Father, your Holy Spirit, let us not forget to ask your Holy Spirit to come and to give us peace and joy. So thank you again for today, and thank you for blessing this presentation. May you continue to be with all of us going forward as we continue to deal with the pandemic, and pray that you might just give peace and joy and love to everybody. Thank you, Jesus. All these things I pray in your precious name. Amen.